Welcome to episode 93 of the Lazy Couch Podcast. It's the podcast that gives you what you need to know in the world of tech. My name's Jeff Kim, and Connect for anyone?
My name is Calvin Lee, recording in the Zeppelins of South Sydney, and I'm waiting for water to boil.
Ooh, is it still boiling? It took a while. It's over now.
Oh, it's boiling. Yeah, I know. That's hashtag dad life.
Yeah, little Maddie's
your
happy. Yeah,
just boiling stuff.
nice.
How's life? What's new?
Oh, what's new? I guess since we recorded, I have been.
You've been
in
around the
places.
world.
I have. I've been in India. I guess is that a thing that
Yeah.
happened? Yeah. Yes. Very
Is there
interesting trip.
any cool tech sightings? Anything interesting?
Anything interesting from a tech point of view? No. Well, I think I was surprised. If I was surprised by anything, it was the lack of iPhone devices or iPhones in general. It's like everyone's on Android over there.
Yeah, because India has its own Android phone manufacturers.
Yes, and what's
Just like
the
China does.
what's the Malaysian brand? Is it like Oppa or something? Oppa?
Oppa is Taiwanese. Yeah.
Taiwanese. Oh, I thought it was Malaysian.
Yeah.
So the national Indian team is sponsored by them now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
You see ads for them everywhere.
National, like what, football Indian team?
Oh, cricket. I didn't even say cricket. I just assumed that it's Indian, so it must be cricket, right? No, it's a cricket team, yeah.
Cool. I think since the last time we did episode 92, we did a Facebook Spaces episode for our other show, Geeks in VR. So feel free to check that out, where we did a reaction video-esque video of the Black Panther trailer. So let us know what you think. But I guess we'll get on to episode 93.
Yeah, so we're very much focused on the VR side of things the last couple of episodes. We're going to talk about Oculus Connect 4 event that happened about a week ago now. It actually happened. The keynote that we're going to focus on is that happened while I was on the plane coming back from India, in fact. So I've only just caught up with the news, a lot of the news. I just saw the keynote just earlier today. I don't know how much of that you saw, Kelvin. You saw some of the...
Just a little bit. But the fact that you mentioned the plane, there's a funny story to that. You tried the Wi-Fi on a plane, didn't you?
I don't think it was that one. I think it was the one coming back from the US. Yes, that was well, I could probably still mention that because the only reason why I wanted to get on Wi-Fi was to watch a football game, but unfortunately because of the geolocation laws, I suppose the NRL was blocking anything outside of Australia. But I just happened to be over the Pacific somewhere, so I wasn't sure what country I was in necessarily. That's
funny.
It's not Australia, but it's not anywhere else. So what does that mean? I don't know. But yeah, that's the only reason why I try to get onto the Wi-Fi there. Was
it practically unusable?
It was slow, but I did manage to find a radio feed of the game. So I think it was just tune-in radio. I think from memory. But yeah, I mean, I probably slept through half of it anyway. And in the end, it wasn't really worth the $12 I paid for on the American Airlines flight.
Yeah. What a rip.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the keynote.
Yes. So this was day one. There were it went for 2 or 3 days, 2.5 days, I believe. But Zuckerberg, introed the whole thing. He made a few statements that were quite key. I'm just going to probably cover some of those. So I think when people think about VR, and it's not mainstream by any means just yet. The comment is like, well, you're just escaping reality. Like, why would you spend your waking hours in a virtual environment? His answer to that is that it's not really about escaping reality, but it's about improving, in quotation marks, reality. So any thoughts on that, Kelvin?
It's hard to see. Well, the good news is I think people are relating VR and Facebook and Oculus Rift all together now, which is good. Like when I mentioned it in the office, I think people actually go, "Oh, are you doing it on your Oculus?" It's quickly becoming the Google of search. People are saying, "Oh, were you guys on the Oculus? Oh, on the Oculus this, the Oculus that." So they're obviously the number one thing that comes into people's minds when people mention VR.
Right. So it's like, I guess it's either, when you think about smartphones, either Apple or Samsung, Facebook could be that sort of, brand positioning for VR, I suppose. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're fanboying too much, but I cannot see HTC or Microsoft's AR product in that same sort of branding positioning right now. It's all Oculus Go.
Yeah, even Microsoft and, even Google, they're sort of dabbling into, mixed reality and augmented somewhat. But I think VR, I think it's Facebook and Facebook only right now. They're really heavily investing in the platform, and they do think that it is the next big platform. I guess, if you think... What's the last platform? I guess it's like mobile computing. Before that, it was sort of the internet, and I don't know. We're sort of in this sort of mixture of both right now. I think that the next big platform, somewhere, something that can, eventually evolve into, from an economic and commercial sense, into this amazing thing where billions of people are interacting. I think that's probably VR.
Yeah, and a side note as well, I really want Sony to do well with the PSVR, but I just don't see them having the same level of funding and R&D like Facebook.
Well, I think there are companies that are working on, hardware side of things, but also, sort of the games and the content. But I think Facebook is only the real ones that focusing on the platform level stuff, right? So I think maybe Steam is out, any other one, but they're not really investing as much as Facebook are right now. But anyway, Zuckerberg went on to say a lot of things. He actually stated the vision on day one, which was they want to get 1 billion people into VR. Very bold statement, Kelvin.
How many people are on Facebook?
I think they're up to 2 billion, I think. Maybe just shy of that, maybe. Yeah.
So they would have to get half of Facebook onto VR.
Yeah, and we sort of quickly looked at the numbers just before we started recording, and according to some publication, I think it was Statista.com from memory, but they're saying there's about 100 million right now, or just shy of 100 million. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure about that. I just can't have that sense right now, but I think maybe they're including people that bought smartphones that came with, virtual reality headsets that are not really using them, but it's, I don't know, I think we're years off 1 billion.
Yeah, easily. I mean, even if all the different Android devices came on board, you're still going to need someone like an Apple to really jump on board. And I'm not quite sure what Apple's approach is to this, because there's more and more apps with their AR kit available. But I've tried a few, like the IKEA one, where you can take a picture of your house and it tries to fit their furniture into it. That's kind of cool. But for Apple, really needs to get into the game if they want to get the mobile VR thing going.
Where I think we're really at the the farting app version of the AR world right now, because that was a thing when smartphones first came out. Just moving along, he made a couple of big announcements as well in terms of hardware. They're introducing a new product called Oculus Go, and this is a standalone-ish device. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Kelvin?
Yeah, it's quite funny, right? When you look at Oculus Go, so it's basically the entire Oculus device without a computer. Which is it's like the mobile phone with the VR sort of headset all put into one without you needing either device. It'll start at $199 USD, and I like it how the first thing that they keep mentioning is how comfortable it's going to be, because I think they expect people to be walking around in these things.
Probably not outside, hopefully, because that's not going to go well for anyone.
Yeah.
There's not much tracking of your movements either. So yeah, that's interesting. I think the comfort level is the comfort level I think is sort of the fit, the comfort level on your eyes and your head more than anything else there. But it looks very similar to the Google Daydream devices.
Yes. So it's got a fabric sort of
meshy.
It's made up of fabric. Yeah, it's kind of a very meshy thing. So definitely very close to the Daydream devices. The other odd thing is we don't know much about it besides it having a WQHD LCD screen and spatial audio. And compatible with all Gear VR titles. There's nothing else that has been sort of launched yet.
Yep.
The dev kits will ship in November. My other concern is this will now no longer require Facebook to work with Gear VR from Samsung.
Right.
So similar to how Google and Samsung don't really get along from an Android standpoint, I think this is Facebook just going to Samsung and go, look, you guys are either too slow or not innovative. We're going to do our own thing.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of genius because like rather than having to build their own phone, they just like put some sort of the phone-like features into a headset that you can't really take out of the headset. That's the only real difference from what I can see. Zuckerberg also called this the sweet spot between the mobile VR and the tethered PC VR. So I think there's a little bit of weight there. $199 is possibly a good entry point, and I think in order to get to 1 billion people on VR, this is probably a good step.
But how do you see it happening though? Do you think this is a Wi-Fi device, or will it have to connect to your phone via Bluetooth for internet connectivity? Because it probably will have its own battery, right? Which makes sense, and it's fully wireless, but it's going to need something to connect to the internet. I can't figure out which way they're going to go. Is it going to be a home device, or do they expect you to put this on the bus on your trip home, which is weird?
Yeah, they're very sketchy on the details there. I think it does come with a Snapdragon processor, but apart from the fact that it doesn't have headphones, it comes with its own headphone jacks. There's not much known about this device.
And I'm also not very confident this is going to, bridge that gap, because anyone with a Samsung 7, 8 device or any Nexus devices can give it a go right now. Like, how is this better or different? I guess it's better lenses quality. It's built, designed for VR, so it probably will improve things. But if you're going to spend $200 on this, wouldn't you just spend the next $200 and just get what we have?
Yeah. I think. Well, you need a PC as well, so yeah, it's probably powered.
True,
I would think it's powered by a phone, like just having discussed these points right now. But it'll be interesting. It comes out 2018 or very soon, I think.
Yeah, and I also think this is probably to capture the non-Android field as well, which is Apple.
Right, gotcha.
Because they don't have anything yet. Anyway.
Yeah. The next big hardware sort of announcement was to do with the Santa Cruz project. So I don't know if you know too much about this, Calvin, but this is their sort of next level Rift or Rift-like performance-wise device that's totally standalone. So they previewed this a little bit last year at OC3. But the whole thing about it, people that tried it out last year and also this year as well, they talk about the freedom of movement. So imagine you're not wearing a Rift right now, but I am. I currently am, like I was last episode. But I feel very sort of, it's almost like weighed down feeling. You're sort of tethered onto a PC. But imagine you can walk around, still be tracked, and sort of be able to touch things or interact with things in the virtual environment. I think it's I can't quite imagine it just yet, but apparently it's a great feeling.
So it just makes it wireless.
Yeah. So the power Rift, but it's wireless basically. Yeah. Do
you think this is going to be an accessory, or do you think this is a whole new device?
I mean, I think this could end up being the second Rift. I think that's what they're going for. I mean, they might have to... the dev kit's going to be, 12 months away, so maybe there's going to be another Rift 2.0 perhaps in between. But, it uses computer vision, and, Facebook have talked about that a lot recently. They have inside-out tracking, which means they've got sensors on the headset itself, and it's using the cameras to actually pick up your space, the real space around you, so you don't bump into things or walk into things. The new thing that they announced as part of this was the controller prototypes, which is similar to the Rift controllers or the touch controllers, but they're slightly different, and I think there's a bigger sensor, or the bigger circle is bigger, for example. But yeah, it looks fairly promising.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of The Block on TV, which is a renovation show, which is fun.
Okay,
I think in the future there's going to be houses that are just built with rooms just for VR.
Right. Yeah.
Or spaces with VR. I can definitely see that happening. With I don't know, spaces to hold the sensors. As we get more and more of those, things are wireless, so you can just have empty rooms in the future.
Right. Yeah, but you can sort of, I think it's going to be a mix of this technology as well as AR or MR, where, you can actually bring in, like in the virtual world, you can almost layer the real world on top of the virtual world. Does that make sense? It doesn't really make sense, does it? Because
but I think... Yeah. I think a good concept of them would be like playing games you can just imagine if you're paintballing or something in a field with things around that you can hide behind, and then putting on these AR, VR, MR goggles will just add a different layer.
Yeah. And I think this is what Zuckerberg's referring to when he's saying we're improving reality. So, his example is like, we spend a great amount of time in traffic, perhaps commuting to work or whatever. That could be like, actually for me this morning was 2 hours on a bus this morning in stuck in traffic. Imagine that's my real world, but imagine if I was able to spend that time in a virtual world. So I think this is what he's talking about when he's saying improving reality.
Yeah, I got stuck in that jam as well this morning.
Yeah. Did you read what happened? There was something on the bridge. Anyway, we shouldn't talk about that. Let's just move on because, we were going to do a half-an-hour episode, I believe, but we're all at 20 minutes. So the next probably big update was the software update that's coming in December. And I'm pretty excited about this. They're calling it Rift Core 2.0.
Yeah, you've shown me the dash feature, which looks amazing.
Yes, so essentially just think about Minority Report Tom Cruise and the way he manipulated his desktop and, all these like screens popping up in front of you in 3D. That can happen in virtual reality. So again, this is all about improving how you might work in the real world. Bring that into the virtual world and do that again. Yes.
So it's a whole new operating system where people like Chrome, where apps like Chrome and Firefox and all those things will have to come in. Is that how they're thinking it'll work?
I think they're probably not, they haven't nailed the specific use cases possibly, but I think what they're doing is just opening it up for, combining the virtual and the real space that you have on your desktop, on your PC. So for example, right now, it's very hard to switch between apps in VR. Actually, you probably can't do it. I think you have to exit an app and then this is like sort of the 80s computing where you had to do that. Like remember, I had to start up a PC and put a disk in and wait for that, and then it wasn't like you can switch between the apps you were using, right? So I think right now the Oculus environment is that it's just a single use sort of thing. But I guess they're putting this layer, like this operational layer on top of the environment, so where you can bring in, not only switch between the virtual apps, but then you can bring in your Chrome browser into the same environment and sort of switch between, say, you've got Spotify going in your desktop, you can bring that into VR while you're playing, Star Trek, Bridge Crew, for example. Yeah, so that's just one example they showed, but yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel if you want to watch us playing that game. So it looks like, I'm just reading here, it looks like, people who are obviously jumping aboard are Facebook and their Messenger app, YouTube, Spotify, and Google Chrome. And that's interesting because the browser is going to have to change quite drastically in VR because everything in the browser is 2D right now, which is weird. When I try to do things in Facebook Spaces on the browser, it just doesn't feel right, especially with the keyboard and everything.
So I can tell you right now, right in front of me in the app that I'm using, which is Big Screen, there's an option to almost have the screen curved in front of you, so it's quite large in front of me actually. I'm reading some Trello notes, and it's actually curved in front of me. So that sort of adds to the 3D, I suppose. But I think you're right. I think the system they've designed, although we haven't used just yet, I'm really looking forward to how that interacts with all the things that you're going to be doing in VR potentially.
And this is the other exciting bit of this software side is you can finally deck out your Oculus Home.
Oh yes. Yeah, that's pretty cool because it feels quite I don't know, like there's not much to do apart from sort of browse a few apps and see what updates had happened overnight. I think that's about it, right now.
Yeah, and the other sad thing is, like, when you start the Oculus Rift in Oculus and you start a party, you just hear everyone's voices. And I find that very raw. Like, I can't invite you to my VR home or jump to your VR home like that. I remember in the early days when we were trying it, there was this app where we went to the house, we were barbecuing and things like that. What was that app called?
Was that Alt Space?
Was that? Yeah, I think that was Alt Space, and that bombed pretty quick. So.
Well, there's an update to that because we talked about it last episode, but Microsoft have bought them.
Are you serious?
Yeah. For a couple of million
For how
bucks, I think.
much?
Yeah, not much.
Ah,
Not much, yeah.
chump change.
Yeah. So it wasn't Palmer Luckey in the end. It was Microsoft.
No,
Um,
it's never Palmer.
Yeah, so one of the other cool things I'm looking forward to in the home update is you know that it's like an onboarding app called First Contact. So when you're going to Rift, you got
Yes.
this little robot dude gives you a couple of cartridges that you can put into a PC and things happen. That a lot of those features are going to be in home, so you can actually interact with stuff in the home as well, not just sort of browse the apps that the App Store. So yeah, very exciting. Very that's all happening in December. The Rift
Wow,
Core.
big month.
Big month.
Big
Yeah.
month.
So it won't be. I think I'll be taking that 1 month holiday.
Over Christmas.
Yeah. What else can we move into? Just quickly. Did you know Hugo Barra is now the new head of VR at Oculus?
Is there anything he can't do?
Actually, my mate of mine used to work with him, but he's there were some rumors about him and some misdoings at Google. That's why he sort of jumped ship to Xiaomi for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Not sure how successful he was there, but he's been around. He actually did talk about. Like 20 years ago, he was first introduced to VR and blah, 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 which was quite, I guess, insightful into, the background that he's had. It is actually amazing to think that, the idea of VR has been around for so long, and, the current implementation hasn't actually moved on too much from, 20 years ago. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, because you have to build entire ecosystems, right? And prep vendors and hardware guys and software guys. And now you got to get all these apps on board. It's tough as hell.
Yeah, and it's a massive design problem as well. And I think, if I was a designer, I'd be going into like VR right now, because that's people are coming up with new ways of, selecting things and scrolling things. And I mean, I think it's amazing time to be a UI designer right now.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because I've been doing a bit of research in terms of what the next sort of role looks like in the digital space, and there's even competition for a lot of people doing voice. You know what I mean? So there's there's so much competition for people doing VR, 3D, and now voice. Like there can't be a lot of these people who are starting all these new jobs around. So there's definitely competition for talent.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, just imagine where we take it for granted that the button on a browser is that sort of pill shaped thing that we see is a button that you click. The people are designing what does that look like in 3D space? Like I don't know, no one's really come up with a consistent style yet, but that's just happening right now. What else is happening? This is all happening sort of next year-ish, but some updates to the software as well. Have you tried the avatars at all in Oculus?
No, it's quite limited as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so you only get to choose this sort of material. Sometimes it's like a glassy kind of thing, or it could be like a wooden sort of carving sculpture type thing. But actually, they're making it a bit more real, so you can actually wear different colored clothing. You can have different color hair. You get eyes now. Before that, the problem was like they didn't want to show the eyeballs in the avatars because they couldn't quite track the eyes very well. I think they've sort of improved that, so now they're showing eyes.
You know what's really funny? Like when you think about how mature Facebook Spaces is, why haven't they just merged the Oculus space and make it the Facebook space?
Well, I think that's bound to happen. I mean, it's got to happen, I think, because I saw the whole keynote for 2 hours, and you literally had two different presenters doing a whole thing on social VR for the Oculus platform, and then you had another person talking about social VR on Facebook Spaces. So it's like eventually that's going to merge together, I think.
So just a quick recap. There are a few other smaller announcements that happened during Oculus Connect 4. For example, there is now Oculus for Business. There are companies that can buy a $900 Rift bundle, which provides customer support. An example is Audi using Oculus for Business to build a VR car showroom, which I think is kind of cool. There's also apparently, I've seen on the Facebook Spaces community, which we're a part of now. You can drive a Porsche using an app in iOS and recording that and putting it into Facebook Spaces. I haven't figured that out yet, but I think maybe for our next episode of Geeks in VR, we'll give that one a go. I'm just having a look here. The Oculus price for Rift is now permanent, so it's $399.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is great. So just in terms of a price comparison, this is all USD. The PlayStation VR without the VR is $299, and the HTC Vive is $599. What else? There's going to be Facebook venues that will allow you to watch concerts, sports, movies, and TV with friends. It's coming next year, so that's kind of exciting. You can now share your 3D posts in Facebook, which
we tried a little bit the other day, didn't we? Not with much success, but I'm actually going to give it another go maybe after the recording, because I'm in VR anyway, and I've been dying to do that, actually, do it again. But it's literally you can draw 3D objects in spaces, and you can sort of port that over to your Facebook feed so friends can see. I think the interesting thing is if the image that you've drawn is like half decent, then you can actually just turn your phone. It's almost like it's got by the motion you can see the 3D. The other cool thing is that the Quill, which is a drawing app, which is separate to Facebook, but done by Oculus, is you can also port that into Spaces, your Facebook Spaces, but also share that in your Facebook feed as well. So I think this is where everything is kind of converging in that sort of Facebook Oculus Quill world, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, I think we're just a heads up to all our Facebook friends. You're going to get a lot of random 3D paintings and drawings and audio clips and video clips and God knows what else.
Actually, come and join us, guys. Yeah.
And lastly, a minor. Yeah, actually, just join us if you've got a Samsung or anything. Just jump in anytime you want. And just lastly, a quick update to our where we spend a lot of time in Facebook Spaces. You can now get toys and masks, and you can now do a live show in 360, which is I can't wait.
Yes, as you've seen from some of our updates.
Yeah, so you know what, that's episode 93 of the Lazy Couch podcast. Let us know what you think on Twitter at The Lazy Couch. You can also find us on our website, www.thelazycouch.com. You can email us at thelazycouchpodcast@gmail.com. You can join us on our Facebook chat room at thelazycouch.com/chat room. And that's all I can remember right now. I know, I keep
much better than what I can do, Kelvin.
I know. And Kelv out. Stop recording.
Can you hear that? Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be any marker for production, okay?
Marker for production?
Yeah. Like, for example, if you want to take a rest, I can go...